Wow. So where am I going today? I made myself a promise when I was back in Jomtien. Do you know where it is yet? No, of course not. This is Elizabeth Line. Really quick from Paddington. I think only about 10 minutes all the way to Whitechapel. So no, I'm not going to make you wait to the end. I'm going to tell you now. Going to Stepney Green. Going to make a video on the Pride of Stepney public house, which actually was originally called the Clare Hall. And I am the very last official landlord of that pub when I bought the pub back in 1998. Yeah, I'll tell you about it when we get there. So it's been 24 years, probably 25 years maybe, since I've last been to Stepney Green Underground. There's an old ghost sign there, look. Love them old signs. Stepney Green. Can't really remember any of it. I think I'll walk down there across the road and I'll go through the park. Anyway, there's Stepney Green, look. Lovely old station. I'm sure I go up here a bit and turn right. Put it in my map, shall I? You are here, look. Stepney Green there. So maybe I've got to go that way. So I do remember that over there, it's a little shopping mall, Anchor Retail. It's telling me to go down this little passage, which wasn't the usual I walk, but I put in Stepney Green Park because the pub I bought, freehold, detached, sits in the corner of the park. So let's get a bit closer and I'll tell you the interesting stuff. This is beautiful through here, but I definitely never used to walk this way. Must be a slightly quicker walk. It's about, well, it's 5 minutes to the park, but I'm the opposite side of the park. I've already looked on the map. But anyway, it's a nice little walk. Beautiful area showing you East London. And a different view of East London, really. Right, time for a bit of history. And I haven't researched any of this. I'm going off my memory, which, as you know, is pretty bloody shocking. And I'm on the wrong side of the park, but I was on a train 25-ish years ago. I was reading the Evening Standard commuting back from my flat I had in Bayswater, Queen's Gardens, back to Didcot. And I read this article about if you could buy public houses, if you could get them de-licensed, they're good value for money. You can make good money on them. Also partly because my dad was always going on to me about the leasehold flat I had. Oh, it's leasehold, you never own it. It was a basement flat, it'll all be damp. It's going to be no good. I like the theory of freehold, obviously. Now this pub's got a stack of history, but there's almost nothing now left on any sort of Google searches. But when I come to look at it, the first time I looked at it, I thought, oh, I can't be doing with this. It was terrible. Previous owner was a Mr. Spragg. Came from South London, apparently. And there were rumours that he was connected. I'm not bullshitting here. There was rumours he's connected to the Richardson family, but he'd been ostracised from South London because he was gay, which could be true because there's the pub. My God, can't recognise it. That looks nothing like it because they've extended it tenfold. So yeah, he got ostracised to East London because he was gay. When I brought it, it was run as a gay pub called the Pride of Stepney. Again, there's no searches. You go Pride of Stepney, nothing. Clare Hall, nothing. The history's almost been removed, which is a real shame. Oh my God. So that's the building there. I'm going to get a bit closer and show you some of it, but that area that on the end, the right end, was the outside yard area. So there's an outside yard from where that first white door is. That was one door in, and the other door was just outside yard area. So you can see the colour of the brick, the new and the old brick. If you look, see that line there? All of that and that line going up there, that was all extended. There was nothing, and all that very top's all extension. So let me finish off Mr. Spragg. He ran a gay pub of disrepute, really, because downstairs they had a little bar and they had a little cassette player behind the bar, basically no real music. And on the first floor, it was darkroom area, cruising area. Josh remembers, he says, my stepson Josh says he remembers playing football out here with Steph, my friend, and maybe a few other people who would have been up early morning. Josh would have been about, how old would he have been? 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. He knows, he can work it out. There's a school over there. So I came to look at it, and I went up on the first floor, and the smell was pretty putrid, to be honest. And I remember thinking, oh, I can't buy that, it's really rancid. The whole pub was knackered, all inside. That's new, that block there, look. So I sort of walked away from it. It was still on the market. I went with Fluretts. One of the agents in the Evening Standard was, estate agents for pubs was Fluretts. And I still use them. I still look at them now and again. So if you want to search for Fluretts, you can have a little search for Fluretts. Yeah, so weeks or months later, I don't know, I looked again. It was still on the market. It was on the market for 198,000, freehold, detached. I'll show you in a bit. On either end, it used to have buildings attached to it, terraced houses attached to it. But sometime after the war, they decided to take the terraced houses down to extend the park area, make the park bigger. And so it's still on the market. I come back and looked. On the far side, I'll show you in a bit, there was a big crack in the wall as well, which was a bit suspect. I remember thinking, oh, bloody hell, that's quite bad damage. Anyway, for whatever reason, I decided to put an offer in, and I know I offered less, and I ended up buying it for £178,000, detached freehold. Didn't have that extra floor on it. Where that white line is there was railings there, and that was the roof area. So it had a flat roof. You could stand on the flat roof and you could see Canary Wharf, and you could see what's a big building in Tottenham Court Road, Central, Centre Point. That's it. So you could see Centre Point and Canary Wharf from the roof. So I bought it for 178,000 freehold, and I was going to convert it all into residential. I was with my girlfriend who had Josh at the time, and she is the mother of my daughter Scarlett. So I just throw that one in there. My daughter Scarlett was conceived in this building. Yes, she'll enjoy watching that. So I put an offer in. I got it for 178,000 freehold. And yeah, think patio, think entertainment in patio. Although I was going to convert it all to residential, a friend of mine, Steph, said, well, you and Kirsten could live on the top 2 floors, and you could still keep the bar as a little bar downstairs for a little club, really, little tranny club originally. And that's what I did. I've always been very impulsive, and anyway, that's what I did. But the rest of the entertainment was entertainment, like private parties, private clubs, private. We had a night that said lights out, lights out, I think, and it meant if the lights were off on the building, then we were open. And we opened well in excess of all our licensing hours. We opened for youngsters who go to the Ministry of Sound and come to us afterwards. I'm jumping about a bit, aren't I, really? Because I didn't plan it, obviously, but let's have another nice little look around the building and see what else I can think of. So I'm really glad I took part of the Truman's sign. There was a hanging sign, and I've got the Perspex eagle in the Truman sign. I've got two of them, so I've kept them. See, 25 years I kept them Trumans in my lockup with all my worldly goods, which I've got to get rid of one day. But there's my Truman signs. I'm going to frame them one day for sure. Love them. Now that's interesting because I didn't want to have the reputation of the old Pride of Stepney, and its original name was the Clare Hall. So I turned it back into the Clare Hall. All my marketing, everything I did was back the Clare Hall. There's a Truman sign up there. Look. Absolutely historical building, which, you know, now I was sad. I do regret selling it, but on the other hand, once my girlfriend said, "Oh, you're going to be a dad," there's no way I could have had my child born in this area or growing up in this area. I went back home to the village of Drayton in Oxfordshire, where I came from, and brought a house there, sold this, brought a house there, made good money on it at the time, but nothing like it's worth now. I mean, with the extension work, God knows what it's worth. Now you can see all the different colour brickwork. So that's how much you can see it's been extended. The white wall and some of that brick up to the top there where you can see was just the original pub. All of that yellow wall, all the red brick, that's all been extended. There's 2 floors above it now from when I had it. The big crack, well, the crack in the wall's still there, look. There's the crack. I think it's only, they made a big thing of it on the survey, but I think it's superficial. I think it's crack on the rendering. Didn't stop them building all that on top of it, did it? And you don't own that land. I didn't own that land, I'm sure. So it's fenced off. I don't know what it's all about, but it wasn't owned by me. So yeah, we did lots of nights. I didn't have any children. We did lots of alternative nights. I got introduced to Class A white powder here, never touched it before in my life. I was about 42, something like that, early 40s. Within about a year, really, I was pretty wasted on it. And so having my daughter born back in the village where I come from in Oxfordshire, I mean, it sounds a bit corny, I always say it's a bit corny, but it kind of saved my life in that if I'd have kept the pub, as much as I love the freehold and the history, I'm not sure I would have survived what I was doing. You know, we had parties on every weekend. We actually only opened it 2 nights a week. That's the original tiled wall there. So the windows had little frosted bits in the top and bottom, Trumans, bit of things like that. They had real character windows, and I boarded them up and soundproofed them so that there was no problem with noise penetration. Look at the old chimney that's in the wall there. So that was my bedroom up there, those 2 windows in the corner front. None of that was there. There's the other line of the wall, the extension. Look, that was just a flat roof where that bit is there. So these people across the road, they were almost what I call, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they were the last of the old East End people. A lot have moved out, and they were pretty much against me having the building. They, because I put a full club sound system in. So the noise, when I was sat on this wall earlier, I remember sitting out here with the planning inspector. We had the sound system on full, and we had to check for vibration here. And these people really, they objected to everything I was trying to do at the time. But you know what, when I won in court, and I got the late licence, and I became official landlord, did a course to be a bloody publican as well, they really liked me. Yeah, why did they like you? Well, they liked me because the old place used to be open 7 days a week, and the people would come out from cruising, and they'd make noises, they'd make a lot of racket, or they'd pee everywhere, pee in people's doorsteps. I closed the pub in the week. I only opened it Friday and Saturday. If I opened it any other time, it was for a private booking. And everything, as I say, was pretty much private running there. I mean, if you know about the Clare Hall, you know. If you know, you know. If you missed it, you missed it. It was open for about a year, I think. And throughout all that chaos, when my girlfriend said, "You're going to become a dad," I had no hesitation in selling up, really. Very spontaneous, which is me all over. Sold it and moved back to Oxfordshire. But why the people like me in the tenement block here behind me, we used to, some Sundays we'd put a little afternoon tea on for them and make them cakes. But the main thing was, it was quiet. There was no noise. Everybody left quietly. When you do private functions, as you can imagine, when you do a private event, nobody wants to be noticed going in or going out. So it was very quiet, and the residents came to like me quite a lot. So we all got on really, really well. The street there's a little parking suspended now, but that street there didn't used to have a yellow line on it when I had it. It was Diggin Street, and it used to run all the way through the park. But when they extended the park, obviously they got rid of it. And you could park there. You could park there as long as you like. In that whole close there, you could park there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no parking restriction. So I owned it between 1998 and 2000. We had a Millennium Party there, 2000 party called Kings and Queens of the Millennium. And that was a pretty raucous event. I remember trying to go out to watch the fireworks, the Millennium Fireworks 2000, but didn't really see anything. So that was December time, wasn't it? And then my daughter was born in June, so I was still physically owned the building probably very early on, 2021, and then it completed its sale. I believe I sold it for 390,000. I had a couple of people offering on it, and I'd agreed a price at around 350, 360. These other people kept coming in and offering more. This guy came with a briefcase, looked more like a solicitor, really, offering for whoever brought it in the end. And they kept up in the price. And at one point I said, no, I've agreed the price, man of my word. But when they put it up, I think they put it up over 30,000 more than the price I'd agreed, and the solicitors hadn't really started working on it. Then, of course, back in 2000, that was a tremendous amount of money. So yeah, I sold it for the extra money, moved it on and sold it for the extra money as well. So there you are. I'm kind of thinking I should have said a lot of other stuff, but because I haven't scripted anything. And, you know, a lot of it, what happened in the Clare Hall stayed at the Clare Hall. It was certainly a very private set of events and parties that happened. I had one friend had her 30th birthday there. She ran one of the biggest clubs in London at the time, and she had her 30th birthday there, so that was some night. So yeah, there it is there in the background. Look, looks like a modern building now, doesn't it? It's quite sad, really. Quite sad that all the character and everything's gone out of it. Quite sad it's still not a pub, but in this area, technically, they don't drink. So pubs were allowed to close and get converted. I suppose in a way, that's kind of what, I wouldn't have gone that far, but part of my thought was to convert it and make it residential. Because I sold my flat in Bayswater for 250,000 roughly, I think. And I brought this detached freehold instead of leasehold for 178. So I had 70 odd thousand pound. It was 70 odd thousand pound cheaper to buy it. It looks awful from here. It looks terrible. A lovely outside yard. Two claims to fame. If you watched at the end, one claim to fame was that Lawrence Delagio came in here one night about 2 or 3 in the morning with 2 girls on his arm. I was behind the bar. We served him. He kind of knew I knew who he was, and it was all private, although I've now made it public. And it was around the time he lost the England captaincy with the rugby. And the other one was Lenny McLean's son had a birthday party here. So if you're watching this, and I can't remember your name, but I was a landlord. I looked after you. You had a great party. You wanted to book it again for you and your friends, but I wasn't around. I sold it. So there we are. 2 great claims to fame. As well as my daughter was conceived there, who is still the light of my life at 25, and I'm sleeping on a sofa now. And in about a week's time, I'm going back to Thailand. Today I'm in London to do all my routine yearly blood tests. Type 2, prostate, and a few others, whatever else they need to do, really. So that's it. That's the end of the Clare Hall stroke Pride of Stepney history. Sad history, but you know, I did it. I did it in a short space of time, in, out, partied, and changed my mind. That's what I do, isn't it? So a few hundred yards up, about 400 or 500 yards up from my pub as well, my ex-pub. There's a farm. I remember they had animals there, and they do a lot of gardening and whatever. There's kids' schools all go there. So if anybody's in the area and they want to go to the farm, it's quite good. They got a pig out there. Look, Stepney City Farm. And there's another last. There's always something extra with me, isn't there? Last little claim to fame. There was a taxi company. Originally 3 brothers, but one of the brothers had been killed in a bloody bank raid. They were on Stepney High Street, and they used to look after us. They used to take all our friends, people from the parties, and they'd always say, "Yeah, bloody funny lot, you lot, but you always pay your bills. You never cause any trouble. Not really any drinking or anything. No loudness." And he said to us, literally, "If you ever have any problems, come and talk to us. We'll sort it all out. It'd be no problem." And it was a bit of a, you know, what they call it, a bit of a fuck. Nod, nod, wink, wink. Yeah, that's it. So there we are. That's all new. This is the way I used to walk, but that I wouldn't recognise it because that building there is all brand new. Never seen that before. White Horse Lane. Anyway, let's go home. Let's go into Soho now. Routine blood tests. Get my results and then get myself back to Thailand pretty damn soon.